Shakur Stevenson is finally going to have a real test. I've been moving the goalpost on Shakur Stevenson because he's so talented. He's so good. You know, he's a pure boxer. He's the real Matrix. But let me not actually say that. Let me mash my brakes, because Lomachenko did have a different kind of style. He had a different kind of volume. But as far as Shakur Stevenson, he's been beating everybody relatively easy. Made it look easy, and probably was easy for him. And when he fought Conceição, I actually thought that might be his test, being that he was an Olympian, and he beat somebody significant. I don't know if it was Valdez or I can't remember who it was that he beat, and they looked like they robbed him. I think it was Valdez. And he walked through Conceição. And I had to move the goalpost. I said, nah, Conceição wasn't good enough because he didn't have the right mindset. He didn't have what Dos Santos has, which I'm about to talk about. And his game plan was off. You know, he was throwing one punch at a time. And with a guy like Shakur, you gotta put that pressure on him. You got to put that pressure on him. And not only do you have to put that pressure on him, you got to put that pain on him. And if you watch the videos in my channel, I always talk about how boxing is a pain-first sport. I don't care how skilled you are, how good your defense is, if your opponent is good enough to hit you clean on a consistent basis, at least 1 to 2 times around, and he's administering pain, that means he can punch, he can dump, your chances of winning that fight are slim. Because that means obviously you're dealing with a skilled fighter who knows how to have good punch placement and has enough confidence to sit down on it. So when you're talking about Dos Santos, you're talking about a guy who has extreme confidence. If you look at the way he fights, if you look at his fights and just his demeanor going into his fights, his mannerisms inside the ring, like you can tell this is a guy who is brimming with confidence. And Frank Martin had confidence. It was a quiet confidence, but I don't think it was to the level of a Dos Santos. Dos Santos damn near delusional with his confidence, and that's what you need to actually be the great. Like the greatest in every sport had a delusional mindset to the outside world, and Dos Santos has that it factor, and that's what makes him a test to where I can't move the goalpost anymore, because Dos Santos has it all from power. You heard Hitchens state how he's dumping in the gym, how he's really throwing. Like you can tell the way he emphasized it over and over again.
I mean, you tell us, like, is it?
It's definitely real. It's definitely real. That's who his power is. Who I can compare his Zepeda power to. Like me being in the ring with Zepeda, me being in the ring with Edwin. I was in the ring with Edwin with 8 ounces, and 16 ounces, 16s, and he's punching like instantly. I was like, oh yeah. Now I see why they got so much confidence in this kid. Like he's punching for sure. Like he's definitely punching. That right there ain't no cap. For sure.
That guy actually hits hard. And mind you, they got 16-ounce gloves and headgear in the sparring gym. And you see it in his fights. You know, he has quick counters. His head is never on the line, so he has confidence in throwing his punch, knowing that he's not going to get hit with nothing back. Or if he does, it's not going to be such a direct hit. It might be a glancing blow at best. So he has the confidence to sit down on his punches. And the most important thing is he doesn't throw single punches. He throws punches in combination. He has great punch placement. He's very athletic, defensively responsible. But, well, of course, power is there. That's the most important thing. But even more important than the power is his mindset. And you know, the people who know Frank Martin can say that, yeah, Frank Martin was confident too. You know, he'd be just as confident. But I can see it in Dos Santos. I can't see it in Frank Martin like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, of course, I can assume it. But Dos Santos lets you know. You see it. I mean, it's in him. You can tell that this man is extremely confident. And the way that he talks, he's been calling out Shakur. So we all know this guy believes he can go in there and pitch an upset. Now, when it comes to Shakur, I really don't know what to say, you know, because Shakur hasn't had an opponent that can make you question anything. Of course, Shakur has his flaws defensively, and that's only because, people complain about his style of fight and how it's not interesting. He's not gaining the fans because they're saying he's boring. He doesn't get touched. And they say he was running a lot. A lot of times, Shakur's in the pocket, but, he will jump out of the way and then get right back in the pocket. And I guess that's what they hate. I don't know. These fans are weird. And Shakur is the type of guy to listen to the fans and actually be in the pocket longer than he needs to be. But it's worked out for him because the opponents that he's had hasn't been that much of a threat. But what I fear when it comes to Shakur is that, see, here at All Take, when it comes down to not predicting fights or analyzing fights, really, I like to target the mindset for the All Take. Because you have your X's and O's. You have the punches that this guy's susceptible to. You have this guy's signature punch and what he's good at and footwork and placement and ring generalship. All those things I'm not the best at. They have other channels that are better than this. But here, I like to target the mindset because that's everything. You can be as good as you want to be, but if your mind ain't right, you're not going to be good on that night. And Shakur seems to have a problem with trying to please others too much. I seen him go on a rant about how, they complain about him being boring, and then when he stays in the pocket, they still say that he's boring. And he complains about how he was trying to show love to the Mexican fans, but the Mexican fans wasn't reciprocating. He was talking about how much he loved Canelo, and the Mexican fans still wasn't showing him love. It seemed like he cares a little bit too much. And I wonder if he's going to get influenced by any of that going into this fight, wanting to make it an exciting fight, wanting to make it a showcase fight, knowing that this is his big test. He wants the clout. He wants the fame. He wants everything that Tank has as far as the clout, and he has the skill set to do it. And this is the fight to do it, honestly. I just want to know, how is he going to approach it? Is he going to approach it in a way where he's going to try to impress too much and get himself in trouble? Or is he going to be smart and get out of that fight with the victory and risk, people, bringing that narrative of him being a boring fighter? If Shakur is smart, he's going to box. He's gonna stay away from a firefight. He's gonna make sure that he gets out of there with the W. Because I don't know if he has the power to keep a dog like Dos Santos off of him and then try to stay in the paint with him. I don't know. I don't think so. But if he's smart, he'll box him, stay away from trouble, get out of there with the victory, and set himself up for bigger fights down the line to where, it's going to be up to the other guy to beat him, right? If he fights a guy like Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, and he boxes and plays it safe and finds a way to get out of there with the victory, nobody's going to get mad at Shakur because they know Tank is cracking. And if he wants to stay there and try to please y'all, he's going to get knocked out. So the common sense would be to do what he did. So problem is, Dos Santos is not that big of a name for you to get away with that. You might have to sit in the fire. And at the same time, Dos Santos is athletic enough to cut off the ring and make sure that Shakur has some fireworks, has some back and forth sometime during that fight. I predict that Shakur is going to be in trouble at some point in this fight. And it's going to be at that point when we see if he is really what we think he is. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. Am I counting on it? I don't know. But if the odds are good enough, I would say I would go with the Santos as far as betting is involved. Because you have a real chance, a real puncher's chance. Not a lucky punch, a puncher's chance, a boxer puncher chance. And that's always valuable. So if Shakur walks through Dos Santos and makes it look easy like he's done any other challenge that I thought was going to give him a little bit of a push, then it's time to really rethink my analysis between him and Tank Davis, because that's going to tell me that Shakur is hands down a master boxer, a master fighter, actually, because there's a difference between a boxer who just wants to get points and there's a guy who can fight that will get points, and when need be, he'll beat your ass up too. So I want to see if Shakur has that dog in him, because Dos Santos is most definitely going to bring it out. That's my hot take.